Hello, everybody. Dan DeFederici, Saratoga Report, and I am here with somebody new to Saratoga Report viewers, Connie Whitesell of Scattered to Streamlined. She's a business coach, and she's based here in Saratoga Springs. Moved here in the past year and past several months. And Connie, good morning. And I've talked to you before. You seem to be loving life in Saratoga Springs.
Oh, good morning, Dan. I never imagined that I'd live someplace where we have horses literally as neighbors. I mean, we're out walking the dogs. We live close to the track, close to Gridley, and we walk the dogs, and we're walking next to people who are walking their horses. We just love it here.
That's great, and you post those often on your Facebook page. I love seeing that, and I love your upbeat comments when just what you just said. It's like you're almost like, oh my God, pinch me. This is so cool.
Seriously, the harness horses are trotting every morning. We've got the state spa park right in the neighborhood. I love to hike, so it's just so beautiful there. We found people to be just so warm and welcoming, so we are absolutely loving it here. In fact, we rented when we first moved here because we didn't know anything about Saratoga, and we're in the process of purchasing our home here. So really looking forward to settling in.
I'm so excited for you on that. As you know, I'm an unabashed Saratoga lover, and just when someone comes new here, I love that they have the feeling I had almost 20 years ago of, oh my God, this is where I want to be. So excellent. Well, hey, let's talk a little bit about your business coaching with your business scattered to streamlined. What an absolutely perfect name to describe the business, because I'm familiar with your business. I'm familiar with some of your clients. And for someone that's not familiar with the concept of business coaching, they may be saying, "What exactly is that?" Could you kind of give a one-on-one intro here?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And business coaching is a pretty broad term. So that you could meet 10 business coaches and they could do 10 different things. But I can tell you that overall, you'll find that most business coaches primarily work with business owners, people who have started up their own businesses, or business professionals. So that's what I do. I work in particular with business owners who are on their own in their business, who have started it up on their own. Usually, they don't have employees, or they may have one or two part-time employees. But I just love working with people who are inspired to start something up on their own and create the dreams that they've had for themselves professionally. And in my business coaching, what I do is work with those business owners to, we do a full assessment of the business, right? Because oftentimes business owners go in and they love what they do, right? And they start a business around what they love. But often they don't realize that there's so much more involved with it, or they do, but they're not sure. They don't know what they don't know. So I help them look at things from a holistic perspective, right? Getting really clear on the products and services that they're offering, making sure that operationally everything behind the scenes is set up for them in a great way. Maybe they need to bring in people to start helping them. Maybe they need to set up systems. Maybe there's something equipment or office space wise that needs to change. Marketing's that third category that we look at. Finances, of course, is the fourth category. And the fifth that really rounds out that approach, and I think is actually often one of the most important things in business coaching, is personal management of self, right? As business owners, we no longer are accountable to someone else. We're accountable to ourselves. And that means bringing ourselves to a whole new level of productivity and focus and taking care of ourselves, right? We're the foundation for the business. So when I work with my clients, we do that holistic assessment and see where they're at and really look at where they want to take their business, and then craft that plan to get them there, and then provide the support along the way to help them along that journey.
Everything you say resonates so well with me on that, because just a few years ago, for my entire adult life, I had worked for somebody else. And although I've read books on opening a business, I took a Chamber of Commerce entrepreneurs boot camp. I was still ill prepared to be a business owner. And I think there's a lot of people like that. They've got strengths, incredible strengths in certain areas. Then they're just not that strong in other areas. And I think that's where you come in. from what I've seen. And I am, folks, I am a client of Connie's. I want to point that out, and it just sort of popped in my head that I want to point that out because I have insight into what you do. And if you're a solopreneur is kind of the word I use, and you don't have to be. You could be a business owner with 20 employees, but Connie says the bulk of her clientele tends to be the more one or two smaller outfits. If you're at wit's end, look into hiring a business coach, and maybe it's not Connie. Maybe it's she doesn't focus on what you need, but do your research. It's just like if you're looking for a primary care doctor, you're gonna do your due diligence and make sure it's the right fit for you. Same thing with a business coach. But Connie, what you do, if you're scattered and you want to and you're sick of it, like I was, and you want to get to a streamline, to a better place where you have more steady profits and your record keeping and things like that. I didn't plan on going on a soliloquy here, Connie, espousing your services, but that is what it is, and I'm going to let you kind of take off from here.
No, and I appreciate you sharing that. And you said so many key terms in there when you talked about scattered and overwhelmed. And so often that is when people come to me, when they're feeling that, I am just out here, I am working my butt off on this business and I'm not getting traction, right? Or they get a certain level of traction and then they plateau because they're overwhelmed. They've got all kinds of brilliant ideas for what they want to do with the business, but often they don't know where to start or what to prioritize. Or they're just, they're doing everything in the business, right? And they're so into the work, taking care of the client or customer service and being out there just deep in the business that they don't have time to work on the business and think about the future and what they need to do to grow the business. So those are all key elements and considerations when people are thinking about getting a coach. It's when they kind of throw their hands up and are like, all right, you know what? I really need some outside perspective to help me gather all of these amazing ideas and figure out how to make them happen and make the business of my dreams happen. And a coach is just so helpful for that. And I say that I've always worked with coaches. I had an HR consulting business for several years, and a business coach. That's actually how I first became exposed to the business itself. I found one who helped me grow my business tremendously, and that's what sparked it for me. Boy, almost 14 years ago.
I know a little bit about your history, but not as much. And I appreciate you sharing that with us. And one thing you did for me is, and I think any solid business coach would have done this, and that's why I encourage business owners to at least look at the concept, is you were a fresh set of eyes. I was so busy running around 1,000,000 miles an hour that I never did a self-analysis of what am I good at and what could I use some help at, because I'm not good at it. And as we both know, it was the record keeping and bookkeeping and billing was not my strength. I did it to some level of functionality because I had to. And you were the one that encouraged me to look at bringing on a bookkeeper, not as an employee, as an independent contractor. So I'm not spending a lot of money. And now I have this headache is gone. And it's actually, and I'm early in the process, so I can't say there's the money's coming in with more consistency and so forth, but I feel that it's going to, because I have someone that's professional experience at that, rather than me, who spent most of his career in government and police work and not-for-profits, that always had somebody else doing that, and all of a sudden I'm thrust into it. So that fresh perspective, Connie, right there was gold.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. And you're the perfect example of someone who is so good at what they do, right? You are such a people person. You need to be out there talking with people, connecting with people, bringing them into, and you provide such a valuable service in the Saratoga region, particularly with both the report and the maps, the discovery maps. You need to be out there with people. And as soon as you got things in order behind the scenes, that's exactly what you did. So I actually challenge you, because I am hearing actually that the money has been coming in. And the revenues have been increasing.
Yes.
But I won't go there. But anyway, and so you are now focusing on your genius work and what you're really, really good at. And you're seeing the results of that. And that's what like you said, just an outside perspective. How can you get some of those other things taken care of and off your plate so that you really can focus on what you're meant to be doing?
Yeah, well, thank you. And I was stuck when I met you. I was literally stuck again at wit's end, overwhelmed with certain, knocking it out of the park with certain parts of my business, and just stuck in the mud with other parts of my business. And for those of you, again, business owners, or you're thinking of starting a business, you need help. And in some case, that was actually my wife helping me a little bit. It could be family members sharing the tasks and so forth. But I'll recommend business coaching to anybody, and of course, I'll recommend you to anybody, especially because you're right here. But you don't have to be a Saratoga person, Connie, right, to use your services. You do a lot of things remotely.
No, that is true. I like to work particularly with people who are local because to me, I really enjoy the opportunity to get together with them in person. Often, when I first start working with a business owner, as we did, we get together in person. We do an extended kickoff session to really do a deep dive into the business. And I find those really impactful when you can be together in person. And then, the rest of the coaching or some of the coaching can be virtual. But that's why I'm excited about the opportunities here in Saratoga, and I'm loving the people I'm working with here. Now, I moved here from Buffalo, New York, and I do have a very strong, go Bills. I do have a strong client base there, and I get back there at least once a month to help clients there. And originally, I'm from the Midwest, so I still have clients in the Midwest. I've got some in Canada. I've got even overseas, I've got a few European clients. And of course, all of that work is virtual, although I do hope to visit some of them at some point.
Yes, in the nice months. What I loved about working with you is when we started off. What did you take, 4 or 5 hours with me in person to really get to understand me and get to know me? We spent a long time together that first day, better than half the day. And that was that. I didn't realize that's what was important to me when we set it up. When I was done with it, I was like, I just felt so comfortable with you taking the time to understand your client.
Thank you. Thank you. I do appreciate that. And one thing that's just another thing that I find with business owners, again, you're busy. There's a lot happening. You're doing so much in your business, as most business owners are. But rarely do they take the time, say, and it doesn't have to be with a coach. It could be on their own, take themselves on a half day or a full day or a weekend retreat where they just completely focus on where they are now in the business, where they want to take that and figure out that way to get there. So that's why when I first start working with someone, that initial time is so important because it gives the business owner the time to do that deep dive analysis and to really just focus on what's most important for them and take that really valuable time that often people don't do.
I won't ask you to use me as an example, but can you give like a bit of a war story of Joe? Obviously not a name, but this person had this business, came to me, and you took these steps over a period of weeks and months. Did you have a story for us on something that was really successful and kind of an example of how business coaching could be so successful?
Absolutely. And I'll share an example, but I think a lot of business owners can recognize themselves in this story. So one person who comes to mind that I've worked with for a couple of years now, he's a financial advisor. And so not only do I work with business owners, but I also work with business professionals who are responsible for their own books of business under a larger organization. So like financial advisors, insurance agents, real estate brokers, those kinds of folks. And I was working with a financial advisor who came to me who had been in the business for about 12 years and was very successful in the business. And if you know anything about financial advising, which is like business ownership, if you make it through those first few years, you're going to succeed. If you get through that and it, because that industry really eats people and chews them and throws them right out, right? But if you make it, and here he was 12 years in, but he wasn't where he wanted to be. He had hit that plateau. And, and it was impacting other aspects of his life as well. So he had seen himself at the same income revenue level for a few years. He had been an athlete in college and his health had just, it's kind of gone down because he hadn't had the time to really work out. He had 4 kids and he felt like they were not getting the attention that they deserved, or his wife, because what would happen is he's so good, he's so dedicated to his work, but he'd bring it home. And so in the evenings, he'd have his laptop out and his computer out and he'd be working. So his family relationship was suffering, his health was suffering. And he was like, I don't know if this is worth it because I'm not seeing that increase. So he came to me and we did that full assessment and we did the whole scattered to streamline process. And he really worked hard at it. He a few things that needed to happen was he needed to put himself on a schedule, right? Because he was just all over the place. So, and that schedule had to prioritize, number 1, his health. Number 2, his family. So we talked about, all right, working out in the morning, making that time, shutting things down at 6 o'clock at night. That was family time, never letting work interfere at that time. And then during his days, making sure that he had focused time to talk to people, to work on his marketing activities, to have conversations. What was happening is he was getting really buried during the day in the paperwork. Again, another of those in the business type things. And he always talked about his work being income generating and non-income generating, just 2 categories. But what was happening is the non-income generating work was like at 75% and the income generating was at 25%. So he was doing a great job taking care of his current clients, but there was no growth. So working together, we shifted that. And now he's at 75% income generating, 25% non-income generating. He hired an amazing assistant who's taking care of all of the paperwork for him.
I was going to ask you, how did he get there? And you're telling us.
Yeah. He was at the point and he knew it, but there's such talk out there about it's hard to find people. It's hard to find good people to help. And I challenge anyone who says that, because there are really good people out there. There are good people who want to do good work, who want to work with other good people. It takes some focus. It takes some time. Oh, a dog is joining me. Excuse the
correction. 2. I believe I saw 2 come in.
Oh, good. We've got 2 tails going. If only
keep going. That's funny.
I'm big in dog rescue too. So, but anyway, back to this client. So yes, it took a little while. It took him a few months. He hired one person that didn't work out, but now he has an absolute treasure of an assistant, and he's still thinking of things that he can give to her. And then she's coming to him, hey, can I take this off your plate? So that's great. He had a company provided CRM, a client relationship management system, the technology, and to track client service and new clients, and he wasn't using it. So we got him the technology straightened out. That has been such a huge boon for him. That's been really, really helpful to keep him on track, is getting the technology done. So those were some examples of behind the scenes. And then just his focus. For so many people, there are so many distractions, right? The phone rings, the email notification comes up. And when someone really needs to be productive and focused, they've got to find ways to shut those out and shut those down so that they can focus entirely on the business.
That's so important. I learned that the hard way, probably just before there's sometimes with my work, like a lot of us, where you really just need to shut the outside world out and bury your nose into something and get it done, and not let the beep of an email, the ring of a phone call, or something take you off task. Because I think there's studies that show it takes you like several minutes to get back in the flow of what you were originally doing as soon as you get interrupted.
No, that you're absolutely right. I read somewhere that it's like 23 minutes, and I completely believe that.
I do too.
I wish I had it handy. I use an hourglass. It's actually a 30-minute glass that I flip over, and that helps me focus. I focus on one task until all of the sand has run out, and I don't let myself do anything else until those 30 minutes have passed. And it's amazing with 3 flips of that hourglass, what can get done.
I haven't used the hourglass. I don't know if you probably shared that with me before, but I don't recall. So I want one of those. I'm going to get one of those.
Oh, they're fabulous. Yeah. I mean, you can use a timer on your phone. For me, I like to see that representation with the sand. But
Okay.
but getting back to the client, I just want to share some of the results that he received. So by the end of, you know what, I'm going to pause this. I'll tell Kevin to edit it because I'm sorry. These guys are just losing their minds. Yeah.
I don't notice them for what it's worth, Connie.
Go ahead. Come on. Hopefully all that panting and running around isn't coming through in the background.
I didn't hear any of it. I didn't hear any of it.
All right, good. Hopefully they'll just stay back there. But okay. But what I wanted to share about the results that he received last year, he hit the highest level within his organization. It's an international financial advising firm. He hit pinnacle level. He is bringing his wife to Greece because one of the prizes that came with that was getting this wonderful trip. Right. So he got that boost. He saw it was more than a 50% increase in his income as a result of that focused time. He's out, he's playing hockey all the time now. And he's done that just what he said he would do with his family at night. And something sounds so basic, right? All right, I'll be home with my family and present. But now he's got this better relationship with his wife. He's there for the kids. He doesn't feel guilty when he needs to take time away because he knows when he's working, he's really focused. And it's been fabulous to see all the great things that have come in his life as a result of the work that he's done to streamline himself.
That is a great story. And you've told me in the past, you said not that you seek this out or directly try to go there, but you said all business coaching has a personal element to it, right?
My coach said to me at one point that all coaching turns into life coaching after the third session.
and of course that makes sense because there's such an overlap, such an intertwining of the two worlds. They affect each other either positively or negatively, depending. And you just showed that in the story how it started off with a negative effect and ended up being a positive. So yes, and that's happened with me as well. And I appreciate that. I was sort of shocked when we cross over into that, but it almost again we never intend to go there, but it's just logical. Something as simple as energy level. You and I talk about energy level and things like that, and that often is something from personal. Are you getting enough sleep? Are you eating correctly? Things like that.
Yeah. One of my clients, whom you know, I won't mention names, but I worked with him on exactly that, on energy, because he's like, I'm getting up at 5:30 in the morning every morning because I've got, all of this stuff that I need to get done. He also happens to have 5 children who are homeschooled. So he's got a lot on his plate, but he's like, I'm so tired. I just can't do it. And I said, when do you have the highest energy? I said, this isn't working for you. So let yourself sleep, get the sleep that you need, and then do your high energy work a little bit later in the morning, right? And then for him too, it was shut things down at 5 o'clock so he could be there, helping his wife and be there with the family. That comes up so often. But yeah, you really have to pay attention to your energy levels. For some people, they're high in the morning. For some people, they're higher in the afternoon. You want to be doing your most impactful work when you're feeling really good.
And folks, I want to say the reason Connie mentioned I knew this client of hers is because she offers several group sessions remotely via Zoom, and I've gotten to know them. And like one class just a couple weeks ago, you had us updating our Google profile, which I've never spent more than 10 seconds on before. And by attending that class in an hour, we were done. And I had a better Google profile than I did previously. And sometimes you merely in the first 5-10 minutes, you say, what is something that you just haven't been getting to, or some sort of marketing action plan that you could do in the next 45 minutes that you haven't done? And then we do it. We come back at the end and sort of share our experience. And I've actually built business on those plans. And that's just one example of some of her group settings. I don't know if you want to touch on that, Connie.
I appreciate you bringing those up. I love doing that. And I just to that topic, I'd like to mention for anyone watching this, if people find your business online, make sure that your Google business profile is optimized, that you're utilizing all aspects of it, because when you do that, Google rewards you and it boosts your appearance in Google searches higher the more active you are in your business profile. So I'm glad you mentioned that, just because I think that's a great tool that a lot of people can use, and it doesn't cost a thing. I'm not talking about purchasing ads or anything like that. It's all organic. So
Right. And
yeah,
it
yeah,
wasn't brain surgery either for me to update it, right? It
no.
was simply, okay, put in your website, put in your hours if you have them, put in your phone number. It was pretty much just a profile update.
It is. And as you're posting on social media, if you're putting a post on Facebook or LinkedIn or any of the platforms, put that post on your Google business profile too. Add pictures to your Google business profile. Every time you do that, Google rewards you by showing your profile to more people. So it really, yeah, it's a great tool. So, no, you're right. In my groups, I just love to bring together the business owners. And sometimes we are working on particular topics or projects or planning for the upcoming quarter. And what I find really helpful in that, as I think you found, is that we bring together people from all different industries. And sometimes you get so in your lane within your industry, you're talking with other people in your own business. Um, and it's so helpful to get an objective opinion, to talk to people who are in other types of businesses and hear what they're doing and listen to their suggestions and come together for accountability partnerships and all kinds of great things like that. So I found that my clients over time, a lot of them have become business collaborators and friends, which is really cool.
Yes, one of your clients is an accountability partner of mine. We are joined. We hit each other at the beginning of the week. This is what I'm going to accomplish this week, and these are my goals. And at the end of the week, we follow up with an email. Here's where I got in the week, and that's going. It's very good. Sometimes the only reason I get something done is because I don't want to let him down.
And what you're sharing here, I think, is so helpful to know, because you have hired a business coach and you have embraced everything. You just are, you're willing to make the most of that. And that's something I just want to say to anyone who's considering hiring a business coach. There's commitment on your part. So really make that commitment and make the most of everything that the coach has to offer. What they're suggesting, a coach should be working with you to develop strategies that work for your strengths. They shouldn't be telling you you should do something that feels uncomfortable. So you should be developing a plan together, but being willing to just embrace that and implement is so important. And Deanne, I see you doing that every single day. And my most successful clients are the ones that come to a coaching session, we figure things out, and then they run with it. They take action, they make things happen.
And you know this, Connie, and I'm going to share this with the viewers, that I was at a state of, I don't know, it was desperation, but lack of confidence. I started, I worked for somebody else my whole life. I started questioning whether I had what it took. So I was hitting that fork in the road. Do I go back to working for somebody else, or do I get it right and continue working for myself? And there was a certain amount of I don't know if desperation is the best word, but of where you come to Jesus kind of thing, where I got to figure this out, or I got to come up with a new plan. And so folks, don't get to that point. And maybe you don't need to get a business coach and you can figure it out yourself, but you have to come up with you might have to come up with a new plan. If you're at that position I was, you're going to close your business because it just isn't working. Well, at least, maybe it's as simple as hiring a bookkeeper like I did, or maybe it's a business coach. So I can encourage you, and folks, on the Saratoga Report, you can get a hold of me on there, and I'd be happy to give you a quick thought. I'm not a business coach, but I'd certainly steer you in the right direction, get you started with something like I am here with Connie. Connie, how do people get a hold of you? I've got your URL up there,
Oh,
scattered-to-streamlined.com.
thank you for sharing that. Yes, you can find me through the contact page at my website that Dan has posted here. I'm also very active on Facebook and LinkedIn. In fact, I have a free group on Facebook called Streamlined Business Strategies. And in that group, I am regularly running master classes, interviewing successful business owners, interviewing other people who support small business owners, just providing as much value and resources and community as I can in that group. So if you find me on Facebook, I'm Connie Whitesell, Connie Keogh Whitesell, got my maiden name in there. But just shoot me a message. Keough.
Okay,
Yep,
great.
Connie Whitesell. We'll put this up, I'm sure. But find me there and send me a message if that's something that you'd like to join, or if you find the group directly, which is Streamlined Business Strategies on Facebook. I invite you to join us. It's a really active community there. Or on LinkedIn, there's a lot going on over there too, under Connie Whitesell.
Great, Connie. Oh my God, this is, even though I know you and I've worked with you, this interview was still enlightening for me, especially talking about the other client and because you're right, I do see some of myself in that client and things like that. So this was very good. We're going to do this again, and but for now, this was great. I enjoyed this, Connie. And any last thoughts before we sign off?
I just really appreciate you having me here, Dan. Thank you so much. I love this community, and I'm really looking forward to getting to know more of the people here, residents, business owners, and just getting more involved. So thank you.
And thank you. Congratulations on your Saratoga area house purchase. That's pretty exciting.
Thank you.
Take care, Connie.
Okay.